Hello everyone and welcome to the third episode of my UEFA Nations League predictions, where today I will be giving my thoughts and predictions on League C. Let's kick things off with Group 1. In this group, we have Scotland, which is coming after a pretty positive, but yet not completely successful qualifying campaign for the World Cup, where they finished in third place behind England and Slovakia, and missed out on that playoff spot and that opportunity to qualify for the FIFA World Cup 2018. Meanwhile, we also have Albania, which is the only one of these three teams who have participated at Euro 2016, where they also ended up making a very good performance and finishing in third place. However, in the last qualifiers, they also finished third, even though in a much tougher group, which also consisted of Spain and Italy. But Albania are currently in bad form, as they have lost all three of this year's friendlies to Norway, Kosovo and Ukraine respectively. And the team completing this group is Israel, which was actually in the same qualifying group as Albania, where they did some pretty good performances, finishing just fourth and only 1 point behind Albania. In my opinion, this is the most well-balanced group in League C, as I think that all three teams are in with a very good chance of finishing first and clinching that promotion spot. And also, in this group there isn't an exact team which come in as the single favorites for the group, and neither is there a team which come in as necessarily as the minnows. For the group, I think that all three of the teams are capable of causing a lot of damage in this group. However, in the end, I think that Albania will have just barely enough to top it. And even though right now they're not in the best form, they've lost a lot of their friendlies and a lot of their players thanks to injuries. And obviously they're not the same team that we saw at Euro 2016. I still think that they should have something over the two other teams, and I can see them winning this group. In second place, I think it will be Scotland, and in my opinion, it will be in this group the major battle will be for first place between Albania and Scotland. However, as I said, I see Scotland just narrowly missing out. And finally, Israel, even though they will be obviously that bottom of this group, I still think that they will give some very strong performances and provide a major role in the shaping of this group. And also, Israel are really lucky, as thanks to the format of the competition and the fact that in Group 1 there's only three teams, it guarantees that the only way that Israel can get relegated is if they finish as the worst placed third place team out of all the groups, which is something that I will reveal towards the end of the video. Now let's move on to Group 2, where the participating teams are Hungary, Greece, Finland and Estonia. Looking at these teams, I can see a major difference between the top two teams in the group and the bottom two teams in the group. In my opinion, the two teams that will rivalize each other for the top position, which will also grant them a promotion spot, will be Hungary and Greece. As for current form, I'd have to say that the favorite in this matchup would have to be Greece, as they made it to the World Cup playoff round, the World Cup qualifying playoff round, where they only lost to eventual runners-up Croatia, while Hungary finished in a very average third place position in their group and dropped a lot of points against much weaker teams. But at the same time, we need to keep in mind that out of all the teams in this group, only Hungary has been in a major tournament in the recent years, where they made it all the way to the round of 16 at Euro 2016. And then on the other side, we have Finland and Estonia, which in my opinion will be a very strong battle between the two teams to avoid that relegation spot. And in my opinion, both teams are at a similar level. Finland finished 5th in their qualifying group, but really picked up their form towards the end, while Estonia did finish 4th in a group which also featured Greece, but are currently not as good on form, and also in the friendlies that they have played, they haven't really done a great job, and I can see them coming in as the minnows of this group. Even though the recent history of the teams really plays an important role, I decide to base my final predictions mostly on the current form of the teams. And because of this, I have Greece finishing in the top position and gaining promotion to League B for next season. I have Hungary just narrowly finishing behind them in second. Then I have Finland just slightly overpowering Estonia to reach that third spot, which still doesn't grant them automatic qualification, automatic avoidance of relegation, but still gives them a much bigger chance. And of course, Estonia as the bottom team in the group is unfortunately the team that will have to be relegated to League D. In Group 1, the participating teams are Slovenia, Norway, Bulgaria and Cyprus. Interestingly enough, the first three teams, even though they were obviously seeded in different pots, all finished in 4th place in their qualifying groups for the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Meanwhile, Cyprus, which come in as the minnows of this group, finished in 5th place and only left behind a team like Gibraltar, and for that reason I see them as real outsiders for this group. While as for the other two teams, I think that it will be a very strong competition, and I can see all three teams with almost equal chances of qualifying, as we have Slovenia, which is a really strong team with a world-class goalkeeper like Oblak in goal, and I think obviously they come in as a seeded team in the first spot for the draw, and I think that they will do a really good job in this group. Norway also has some really young, talented element in their squad, which I noticed in recent years they've really managed to combine together, and I think that they're in the process of building a really strong team. And also Bulgaria shocked many, especially towards the end of the qualifiers, as they got some really good results in a very difficult group consisting of teams like France, Sweden and the Netherlands. And so I think that it will be a really tough prediction to make as for which team will get promoted. As I just mentioned, the real difficulty of this group was to predict a team to get promoted, and not as much the team that will get relegated. However, in the end, I've come up with a final ranking for this group, which sees Slovenia finishing in 1st place and getting promoted to next season's League B. And I came up with this prediction simply because, in my opinion, Slovenia has a more well-built, organized team with the most experience in between its players. In 2nd place, coming not too far behind them, I have Bulgaria, because as I said, they have managed to create a really strong team which is able to also come up with some really good results, as they showed in the World Cup qualifiers. In 3rd place, just above the relegation zone, I have Norway, and even though Norway has a team with many talents in between them, and I think that they're on the right path to organizing them all together and creating a strong team for the future, I still think that they still need more time and are not yet ready to create a serious challenge for promotion in this group. And finally, as I said before, Cyprus, I don't really see them with as much chance in this group as the other teams, and I think that they will comfortably get relegated to the next division. Finally, the 4 teams that make up the last group of League C are Romania, Serbia, Montenegro and Lithuania. Romania were the seeded team in the draw for this group, as they were drawn out of the first spot. However, there is no doubt that the real favorite for this group is Serbia. They were the only team in the whole League C to have qualified for the World Cup this summer, And even if you look at their lineup, almost all of their players play in some of the biggest clubs throughout Europe, and I think that they are by far the most likely team to win this group. Meanwhile, in the opposite side of the spectrum, we have Lithuania, which enter this tournament as the underdogs, and having completed a pretty disappointing World Cup qualifying campaign, where they finished in 6 points and only left behind Malta, they will really face a lot of challenges when playing against the 3 other teams in the group. And so that really only leaves Romania and Montenegro as the battle for the 2nd and the 3rd place. And what makes this interesting is the fact that both of these teams are in the same qualifying group. And even though Montenegro did much better there, finishing 1 position above and with 6 points more than Romania, I believe, Romania still is slightly the more experienced team, as they were also part of Euro 2016, while meanwhile Montenegro is actually a really young nation and hasn't really had the opportunity to experience such high levels of football. So this battle between Romania and Montenegro will be a matchup which will be pretty hard to predict. As part of my final predictions for Group 4, it should come as no surprise that I selected Serbia as the group winners to get promoted to Division B for next season, and at the same time Lithuania to finish at the bottom of this group and get relegated to Division D. And of course, as I said before, the real difficulty was in predicting which team would finish in 2nd place between Romania and Montenegro. And even though Montenegro has done better in the recent matchups, one of which they won and the other which ended in a draw, and also did better in their qualifying group, I still think that Romania has a slightly more experienced squad, as I mentioned before, and also they currently have a much better streak of results, which I think could impact their performance in this tournament. And so, because of that, I think that they will finish above Montenegro, which of course will finish 3rd, but still a long way above Lithuania, which, as I said, I believe will be the dead bottom of this group. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that towards the end I'd also make a prediction on which of the 3rd place teams would finish with the least amount of points, as that team would also get relegated down to Division D. The 4 teams that finished in 3rd place, according to my predictions, were Israel, Norway, Montenegro and Finland. Also, we need to keep in mind that in order to make the playing field more fair, only the results against the top 2 teams of the groups will be counted, as Israel is in a group of 3 and only has 2 other opponents. And so, considering that in mind, I do think that Israel, Norway and Montenegro will manage to get quite a lot of points against the top 2 teams in the group, or at least enough just to secure their spot for next season's League C. While I think that Finland will drop a lot of points against the top 2 teams, which in their group are Greece and Hungary, as I think they're in a little bit of a higher level and will find it really easy against Finland. And for that reason, I think that Finland will also join the teams that will be relegated. So this is it for this video, guys. Thank you all very much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video. Also, let me know in the comments down below if you agree with my predictions, and if not, what your predictions are. And I'll see you guys on the next one.